Hello, my pretties, and welcome to my meditation. My name is Debra Baker. Maybe which Debra Baker? We're just having a little Halloween fun today, but now let's settle down and get ready to do a nice, sweet meditation. You ready? Let's get started. So let's finish up our month talking to dead people, which I realize for a lot of you is something different, but for me it's another day at work. So let's begin with 3 nice, really deep breaths, filling up our chest, holding it for a moment, and then releasing it. And this time fill up your chest and your upper back. Hold it for as long as you like, and when you're ready, let it go. And now let's take the deepest breath we've taken all day, filling up our chest, our upper back, and all the way down into our bellies. Just feel your lungs expand like you're stretching them out. You can even feel your skin stretch a little on your back and your belly. And when you're ready, release it nice and slowly. And I just put myself completely in the hands of Spirit today, and we will see what comes out, because I don't have any preconceived notions, and they haven't given me any clues as far as what we're going to talk about tonight. But before we do, let's relax our bodies, and let's just do it all at once. And instead of doing a tensing and releasing, let's just imagine our bodies just kind of full of, imagine all the energy in your body that you want to let go of so you can relax. Okay, so any stress, tension, any thoughts or beliefs you no longer need or that no longer serve you. And take a few deep breaths. And as it does, imagine everywhere where your body is either touching the floor or the chair or the sofa or the bed. Everywhere where your body's touching something, little trapdoors open up, and with each of the next 3 breaths, you release just a little bit more stress and tension. And just keep letting it go. Feel it release. And as it does, your body just automatically relaxes. Relaxes and lets go. Settles in very deeply. And the last one, just imagine from the tip of your head, all of your thoughts, your ideas, through your neck and your shoulders, your torso, to your tailbone, and to the soles of your feet, the tips of your toes. Just let it all go. And we're going to spend a moment just feeling that sense of release and relaxation. And I've gotten a few messages from people talking about the earlier meditations this month about what happens after we pass away, after we die from a human experience and go back to the oneness. And I have to remind myself that I have a different knowledge set than most people do. Because while I recognize, and I fully honor and recognize, that when we lose someone, a loved one, when they pass away, and it doesn't matter how, there's no punishment after we pass. When we lose them, we experience the grief of no longer having them on this earth with us, no longer having them in human form. They are actually still here if we would like them to be, and as long as they want, and we can summon them at any time. Okay, so what the guides want me to talk about is when someone leaves this earth by suicide. And one thing that I have learned repeatedly is no one ever is born or passes away at the wrong time. So there was one just lovely, lovely young man who said it so eloquently years ago. He was explaining to a loved one that came to see me as a client. And she, felt, as I understand most people, I would feel like I should have done something to prevent them from taking their own life. And what he said was, it was my time to go, and that was the door that was open to me. And pretty often they know that their time is coming. And logic would say, of course they do, they're going to take care of it themselves. But there's a bigger picture here. Because the infinite controls the entries and the exits into a human life. And how many times have you heard of a suicide attempt because it wasn't their time? And so what that calls us to is a deep and profound level of trust. That the timings of the births and the deaths are perfect in divine order. No one is ever born too early or too late. No one ever dies at the wrong time. That does not nullify or negate grief. Just because it's someone's time doesn't mean we want them to go. But if for some reason I'm being called to speak about passing by suicide, and what I have heard across the board, every single soul who has died in that manner has said the very first thing they experienced was relief. Huge relief. The struggle is over. And relief that they are welcomed with open arms. There is no, test, no passing period, no, earning your spot in heaven. There's none of that. What happens when someone passes in any manner is they are first greeted by peace, just this kind of sense of stillness and relief, followed immediately by loved ones welcoming them. Welcome home, welcome home. And I have dealt with some souls who were, in the process of passing, where they were either just wasn't exactly their time yet, or they were waiting until someone got there to their bedside or whatever. But they often will leave their bodies and kind of visit the souls on the other side for a while, and then come back to their bodies. And so this often happens when people are in comas, or just kind of, you see them, you can get a sense of their soul slipping out of their body. And their eyes are open, but you can tell they're not really seeing through them anymore. But they're still there somehow, they're still connecting to us. And from what I've also heard from many souls is it's hard to let go when surrounded by loved ones, especially those whose human nature is to keep everyone happy. They don't want to let go. And so they wait until the whole family leaves the room to go to dinner or, whatever. And then they quietly, what I like to call, sneak out the back door. Quietly pass when no one's looking, because it's too hard to say goodbye. And so if your loved one couldn't wait for you to get there, instead of feeling like they didn't love you enough to wait, it's probably the exact opposite, which was they loved you so much they couldn't let go if you were present. And what I find to be deeply comforting is when they let go, it's so peaceful and they're so welcomed and so amazed. My mother was so happy because when she passed, she was greeted by her parents and my dad's parents and a sister and 3 brothers, and of course the other generations, grandparents, aunts, uncles. But just to see all those beings greeting you, welcoming you, calling you home. And in a sense, when we are in a human life, what we are doing is trying to recreate on earth that feeling of oneness and that feeling of being home, being surrounded by love, being surrounded by beings who care for us. So I invite you to look around at your situation and to foster the places where you feel the most loved. And to spend some time this week with those you love, if only on the phone. And also to remember the power of the sound of your voice and the sound of their voice. There's something energetic in a voice that isn't there in an email or a text or even a written letter. And so if you have had a loved one pass at any time, but especially recently, know without exception they are fine. And know that those who seem to have troubled lives, either they suffered from addiction or mental illness or just meanness or whatever. They had a personality that didn't get along well with others, or maybe they overextended themselves. Whatever it is, know that where they are now is peaceful. Love itself. Unconditional love and acceptance. And so when we create heaven on earth, we create it by offering unconditional love and acceptance. And realizing that our opinions don't matter nearly as much as our love. Our thoughts, what we think about something, it may guide us, through our lives, but what is the most important is our love. And we feel love through our emotions. We feel love through anger because we get angry if someone harms our loved ones, or if we feel detached from our loved ones and we feel sorrow if we're separated from them for whatever reason. We feel afraid for them. We feel ashamed, if we maybe said something out of turn and hurt someone's feelings. But all of that, all of those emotions are wrapped up in love. So let's just take a moment to remember how loved we are. All of us want to feel loved. All of us want to feel accepted and supported. And so know that when a loved one passes, along with all of your spirit guides, guardian angels, God, the divine presence, the one power, all of that is seeking to love us first and foremost. And in their guidance, seeking to help us to have the experiences we came here to have, which, top of that list, is to experience love in whatever form it shows up. And to help those who feel unworthy to know their own divinity, to know their own worth, to know that nowhere inside of us is any place of unworthiness. We're worth it. And know that you deserve love. You deserve to have fun, which is why I put the witch hat on at the beginning. Why I'll put it on again at the end, and just remind you that, ultimately we are here to love one another. We're here to help one another reach home, and along the way create places where we feel at home. And the tiniest acts of kindness and love count just as much as the big ones. Someone lets you cross the street instead of making you wait. Someone holds the door for you, or says hello, makes a friendly comment. Those things are acts of love, kindness. And every one of you who listens to my meditations feeds my soul, and especially if you let me know. If you send me a message, or even just like the post, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is so much more gratifying than you may realize, because we are a circle of love and support for one another. And I so appreciate the love and support that you give me. And I want to reciprocate by reminding you that you truly are worthy of every ounce of love that you can experience, and that you are whole and perfect exactly as you are, infinitely worthy. There's nothing about you that has ever been unworthy. So thank you again for tuning in and joining me during this week of Halloween and All Souls Day and Dia de los Muertos, as we remember that these lives are not finite. They continue long after our human bodies are finished. So thank you again for tuning in, and I invite you to have a wonderful week and to remember that you are a beautiful soul inside and out, in the one presence and the one power, moving in, through, and as me, honors and recognizes the one presence and one power moving in, through, and as you. Namaste. Have a wonderful week.